Welcome. Welcome, Lily. A dog. A dog, a four-legged friend releases so much anxiety. Did you know? Yes. A little bit of nice music. So, can I take my hand away? Because it's you now put your head. No, I'm not going to be able to do it. She's settled in. Ain't you, lass? Settled in. Okay, we're all settled then. Oh, welcome everybody. Are we settled or not? What about if I bring the seat over and you could sit with me? Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Sit there, babes. You're right next to me then. We're together. Look. Did you know that poodles are a comfort dog? They like to be close. Yeah, like this. Okay. All right, she wants to be close. I don't know if you've seen her for a while. Um, yeah, right. Ooh, say hello. Hello. She likes to be close. She really does. And why? And that's why she's been put on this earth to show love and give love. And we'll come to that later. Okay, that's enough of pet moment. Princess Lily, thank you everybody for sharing her post. Bless her. Yes, yours. Nice. I don't even know why I did it, but it'd be nice to get Lily out there so people know who she is and brings lots of love, as you do. Yes, it's not about being famous. No, it's not about the likes and all the followers. Ridiculous, really, aren't we? We're all being a bit silly these days. So, tonight's a very serious topic of conversation because, hey, gosh, it's probably one of the top 10 issues of 2024, 2021, 22, 23, 24. Definitely one of the top issues for sure. Anxiety. And boy, do I know how that feels. I've been through it many times. Triggers. We're going to go through it all. What is it? How it starts? You've got to really have an understanding of anxiety, what it is, why it starts, the triggers. If we have a nice big conversation about it, this isn't going to last for 10 minutes. It's going to last for quite a while, but it's good to know so many things about it, and you might be able to relate to it and think, no, that doesn't really make any sense to me. But then with that, you might be surprised how you'll make sense of it yourself. But sometimes all of these conversations coming together as one really open you up, can really trigger you to knowing why these things present themselves. Sometimes we just don't know until we're shown in so many ways. I didn't know so many things at the beginning, but people showed me by way of conversation and experience, stories. Like, wow, I didn't realize, I didn't think about that, and that's where we should really come together and talk. I mean, if we're not talking to each other, we're not growing. In the sense that sometimes things are so close that we don't see them, whereas other people are stood way back and they can see you and they can say, do you know what, I'm seeing this. Oh, I didn't realize that about myself. So I would like to start by saying welcome to Mark Bajerski YouTube channel. It was very kind of vidIQ to slip through something that was so lovely, which was last month we had 16 million views on YouTube. What a beautiful thing, right? And now it makes complete sense of why they're trying to stop me and shadow ban me. Didn't really make sense before, did it? I mean, why? 180,000? That's nothing, where people are millions and millions of views, until this slipped through and it was sent to me. Oh, wow. So YouTube are actually censoring the millions of people who watch some of these videos. And I always scratch my head thinking, how come I get so many messages in a day in the inbox of thank you for your videos, I've watched them for the past 4 years, and yet I've only got like 50 people or 100 people watching that video? That's called shadow banning. That's called deep state censorship. And now I understand. I didn't before. So, what I thought was, a few thousand here and there, we now know the truth. So it's really lovely that people are seeing the videos and getting from it. And now I completely understand why I'm shadow banned now. It makes sense now. Now that I've seen the real figures, makes sense why they're shadow banning me completely, because I am a danger to the darkness, because the darkness feeds fear, feeds sickness, feeds illness, feeds everything that is everything that we should not be. So when somebody, shines a lie over it, when somebody is giving the opposite of that, they're going to gag you, they're going to shut you up, they're going to do everything they can to stop you, but a sly, sinister way. So we should drink to that. Honestly, we should all drink to that. Isn't that beautiful? 16 million views in 1 month. That is something, and that isn't a lie. I've double checked, sent a message to them. No, they're correct figures. Okay, thank you. Cheers. 16 million. So you can see that YouTube is nothing more than a lying, nasty, dark entity. Nice to point it out. So let's get on with tonight's beautiful chat. So tonight we're going to talk about how to overcome anxiety. Let's first look at what anxiety is. And I always like to start by saying anxiety is simply a word given to you by darkness, by evil. So they needed to find a way to put it in a package, in a box, so that then they can sell you a product to fix it. If you don't have a name for something, you can't sell something. So you need a name, you need a label. So anxiety was created by snake oil salesmen. Okay, so that's the big pharmaceutical industries. That's the bottom line. And so, when you create that, then it's easy then to put you, unfortunately, in a class, a different class. So you're not in our class anymore because you are a sufferer of anxiety. So meaning that there's something wrong with you. See what I mean? It's just all fear-based. It makes you feel bad. Whereas anxiety, in my understanding and my world from 38 till this moment, is merely an energy release. So where is that energy release from? Well, it depends where it is in the body and when it's releasing. So a lot of people who suffer from irritable bowel syndrome have a release in their stomach, which is some people might call tension or stress. All relates to the same frequency energy. So stress, anxiety, depression, fear, shock, it's all coupled in one energy, how I see it. They're very different, very slight differences of frequencies, but they're all very, very similar at their vibration level when a healer is looking and feeling at that energy. So we don't, well, as any true healer knows, we don't see it as what you may see it because a doctor in a white coat's told you, or Google, the dark Google will tell you that you're going to die. You know, you just type in anything about you and it tells you the worst case scenario, okay? And it never seems to tell you how to heal yourself, right? It doesn't want you to heal yourself. That's the whole point. So on a side note, never ever look at Google. Never ask Google anything. Never look for doctors online how to help you. They will never, none of that will ever help you because they're putting you into the box again. So the box is the lie. The label is the lie. Okay? So as a healer, when I look at you and you're feeling bad, that is a frequency energy that is created inside the body and vents out of the body and then hijacks your, let's say, aura, life force. So I'm going, wow, your life force, your aura is a bit of a mess. It just doesn't look nice. It could be vibrating erratic. But it's not normally, I mean, when you've been, that's erratic. But when it's like somebody saying something awful to you, when a family member might reject you, the absence of love, the feeling of loneliness, grief, all of that. When you see these energies around you, you look, and after a healing session, you can see the energy is calm, like a pool, a beautiful pool of water. And it's gentle. It's very gentle. Sometimes there's a little bit of residue that just comes up a little bit and just goes off. But the whole of the body is like a pool now. There's no more waves. There's no more, strange patterns and things moving at certain places in the body. So I'll give you a great example. A lady came to see me many years ago, and as she stood there, I could see the energy in her stomach, and it was coming out of her stomach. And I said, "Oh, you've got an issue with your stomach today." She says, "How do you know?" I said, "I can see the energy moving around your stomach area, so I know there's an issue going on. That's not normal." And she says, "Oh yeah, I suffer with irritable bowel syndrome." And I said, "Right, I can feel it. I can see it. Let's work on it." So I worked on that for 1 hour and it was gone. She was fine. She came back about, I don't know, maybe a month, 2 months later. And again, same place. And I cleansed it again, and she was so thankful because she'd had a spate of nearly half of the time that she'd not been to see me free of irritable bowel syndrome. And after 3 months, after 3 healing sessions, I thought, okay, now she's experienced that you can heal yourself from it, which means that it can be healed because you haven't experienced any suffering for all of these weeks. And now you're back again, you're suffering. So what does that tell you? It tells you that it's something that keeps coming and going, which means that it isn't there all the time, which means that there's a possibility it could be created. And this is a very vital and important thing. Most of the time, we create our own anxiety. And, the hardest part is seeing it and understanding it. And where does it start? How does it start? It can be coupled very much with food as well. So be aware of that. Anxiety, yeah, you can get anxiety by eating the wrong foods. And I have to say this, I'm sorry, but people with anxiety normally have a very, very low immune system. So the immune system, right? This is a beautiful thing, by the way, because if you know this, you can heal yourself really quickly. The immune system is very, very delicate and takes a little bit of time to build up, but not as much time as you think. So there are certain things that will kill the immune system. So food is part of it. So is fear. So is the black screen. So are people. So is the environment. So is your energy. So are your thoughts. So you've got all of these things going on at once, and we have to kind of figure out, what is it? Is it all, or is it just a few, or is it just one? So isn't this really interesting when you think about it? There's so much going on here. So I was going to sort of finish off with what to eat, but let's just go with the flow, okay? Don Tolman is an amazing guy. He's been doing this work for years, and he's the whole food cowboy. So basically, he's a cowboy that realized that. Yeah, I have to be careful what I say here, but anyway, he realized that what he was told when he was younger was a lie, and then he started to go into a path of natural healing. This is natural healing. And then he started doing his research and studying and found ancient texts. And one of the things that he found was to bring back a high when you're feeling low is you get fresh orange and you get fresh pineapple, put them together and put them in your mouth and just chew. Just chew. Just keep chewing as much as you can. And that's a natural high. Some of the foods that I find are really important are yellow foods. So the yellow foods really help your immune system, but they also boost you up. So lemons boost you up and heal the immune system, heal the body system. But also, which is great, is purple foods. And some of the foods that I found really interesting. Horseradish, fantastic. So these are the things that you could write down maybe now. Horseradish is great. What are purple foods? Just look for purple foods and eat purple foods. So fruits and vegetables. Also, some of the wonderful things you can do to strengthen the immune system are onions. Onions are great. Garlic is great. Spices are good as well. So these are some of the things that you could introduce into your life, and maybe a few more apples too. They electrify the whole of the body. So that's wonderful. So anyway, going back to how does it all kick off? Well, one of the things that I found was anxiety can be triggered by childhood trauma. So I don't know what your childhood trauma was like. I don't know if you had any, if you had a beautiful life, you weren't traumatized at all. You were never bullied at school. Your mum and dad was always loving and kind and caring. You got brothers and sisters and you all got treated equally, right? All of these things, which are very rare, right? So if you say, oh no, my childhood was great. I had fantastic teachers. I had a great childhood. Okay, so that's not it. Okay, it's not it. So you can move forward from that. But generally speaking, my clients who came had childhood trauma. And I think most of the most strongest and powerful people in the world are the ones who have been through dramatic stress, suffering, abuse, neglect is another one, feeling abandoned, all of these feelings. These can be the trigger of anxiety or the energy of what we say anxiety is. Also, social media is now, I talked about this years ago. I saw it coming before it even started, and I said that it's the devil in disguise. AI technology has been led into this world like a train. With no brakes. And the reason why is because it's attached to dark energy and entity, although light energy and entity can also be attracted and can work through it. It predominantly works through the black screen. And the reason why the black screen is filled with porn, filled with beatings, people being slapped, people being mocked, abused, children being targeted, all the worst things. The reason why is because if they can create that energy on there, it feeds two things. It feeds the companies that make more money, because if you're feeling bad, you buy more, spend more. And secondly, you feed dark entity. So if let's say AI technology was filled with love and your screen was just totally filled with love and happiness and joy, then it's the same as your room. If your room's filled with love and joy, dark entity cannot enter that room. There is no way it can penetrate a very strong, powerful energy in a room. So if you imagine that your room is your body temple, it's the same frequency. If you're on a high frequency, nothing negative can run through you. If you're on a low frequency and you're feeling bad and anxiety, you can get attachments and you can then start to feel addicted to the black screen. Why? Because the black screen is filled with entity, is filled with dark energy, and it certainly is a dark place to be. When you are of the energy of feeling anxiety, throw the phone away. Put it away, switch it off. Why? Because it's one of the most, I believe, powerful ways for darkness to enter and to cause more suffering. And it will feed from you, so you'll feel exhausted. You'll have a lack of energy. You'll have a lack of motivation. This is feeding the darkness, which is through AI technology. One day, I will be vindicated by what I'm saying. I promise you that. Science will vindicate that. Dark energy can and does feed through electrical wires, every kind of technology that is fiber optics. It works through Wi-Fi, as long as the frequency is low, and that's why there's a lot of films put out there with low frequency. So yeah, it does make sense when you look into it. So be aware of AI technology. That is one of the, I would say, probably one of the highest reasons why people feel anxiety. Other triggers are your path. So you see, AI technology and let's say the social media is now geared up for you to be a slave, right? So only a few people are allowed to be your masters. That is models, actors, singers, dancers, fashion designers, multi-billionaires, millionaires, gurus. So the reason for that is that you will always stay below them. So you look up to them, you bow to them, you dream about being them, but you never actually find your true purpose because you're too busy focused on something that isn't important at all, that you have created and you believe is now important. So that's your issue. That's something you need to wake up from. And that's normally because you've been told you can never be like that. You're not good enough. So if I connect to this person, I feel as if I'm living part of their life and I am them because I'm a friend of theirs. But no, you'll start to get depressed and you'll start to feel bad and you'll start to feel not good enough, and the self-esteem will just and then you'll start getting depressed, and hey, guess what? You're now in the energy of anxiety. So that's something you can look at, your path. The next thing is your purpose. What is your purpose? If you're busy on the black screen, you're never going to know what your purpose is. So if you're like, for me, I found my purpose because I wasn't looking at anybody else. Couldn't give a shit about what anybody else is doing. Good for you. I'm happy for everybody. But I'm not looking at you because I know that if I look at you, I'm not looking at myself. And I'll never find out who I am or what I am and why I'm here. So when I sold everything in England, it was because I was too busy helping everybody else. And I wasn't doing anything for myself. And I never looked at myself. And one of the reasons why I moved here is because it was the time that I needed to look at myself. And it was a very difficult moment because I was always running around looking after everybody else, needing help, and people loved me, but I wasn't. That wasn't my path. Being kind and caring should be everybody's path, but that's not your purpose. So purpose is really important. So I came to this mountain and I'm walking around wondering what's going on. What am I? Who am I? What am I doing? Soon as the pupil is ready, because I'm asking the question, which most people don't ask. They say they do, but they don't, because they're too busy asking too many other things. No, this is the only question I'm asking. Who am I? What am I? What's my purpose? And when the man looks in the mirror, when the child or the teenager or the grandma looks in the mirror and said, okay, the kids are all gone, the grandkids are grown up, I'm now, what do I do with my life? Because that wasn't your life. It was your path, but it might not have been your whole purpose. So you might have loved it, but now you have to find your purpose. I know loads of men, I know loads of women who now their child's gone, they're like, well, what do I do now? Well, that was just part of your life. Now you've got to figure out what's your purpose. But that was my purpose. No, it was part of your life, part of everybody's journey here, or many people's. But now we have to figure out what our purpose is. So it's really interesting when we start to get deeper and deeper into looking at this. So again, questions asked, think about them in the next few days. Triggers, grief, I said, abandonment, abuse, created by others. So sometimes we can have anxiety attacks created by others, which trigger our childhood trauma, or the trauma of working with somebody that we don't like, or a boss, or maybe environment and things like that. So we can be triggered by others, and that then can trigger in our body what we then start to create that energy. See, if you don't let people bother you, nothing can be triggered. But most people are triggered, and that's how darkness knows your vulnerability is you're triggered easy. I'm triggered, but I'm working on it, and there's a lot less triggers in my life than there was. I was triggered to everything. Now, it takes a lot to trigger me these days. If somebody hits a child, I'm triggered. I can't help running over across the road and standing up face to face to that person and say, hit me. I don't care. I've been hit before by people, but I can't help it. If I see somebody hit a dog, I'm straight over to them, and I will belittle them with words, or I'll use a key word to make them see what they're doing. Awful, really. But some people, I can't help it. I've got to be that person, and one day I might not. One day I might change the way I am. You know, I don't know if I told you, this happens all the time. I don't know why it happens all the time, and I don't know how to overcome this. But there's a lot of abuse here, and it's a lot of women are abusing the dogs. Like, I'm talking about pulling them and thrusting them and screaming at them on the street. What? Why? Because the dog's having a sniff, and they're angry. And I'm like, I went up to this one lady who, you know, really pulled the dog hard and screamed at it, and I just walked up to her. I said, you do not deserve your dog. Your dog is far more beautiful than you. And I just went, you know, but would that have made things worse or better? I don't know, but I'm triggered. I'm triggered by abuse. So I work on myself daily. So what are you triggered for? What triggers you? And how do we heal ourselves from those triggers? So one of the things that I learned was, instead of running over and being nasty and aggressive, be more nice. If you see a man hitting a woman, go over and separate them and say, please don't do that, in a nice way, but don't fight and get angry. So that's something that I'm working on myself and learning to become more powerful that way. So again, what triggers you, and how can you heal from the trigger? Therefore, if you're working in an environment and your boss is nasty, how are you going to strengthen from that? Are you going to try to understand your boss, put yourself in his position and see that he's stressed and he's trying to run a tight ship? Or is he a narcissistic piece of crap and you just can't cope with it anymore, and there's no way I can help this guy, and this guy is a monster? So then there's no alternative. Find another job. You might not have to leave straight away, but what you can do is make a conscious decision and say, I'm going to start to look for another job, and I can't afford to leave this one, but I am going to start to look for another job from this moment on. As soon as I get another job, I'm going to leave this one. So you can use that understanding for anything, you know, as well, apart from relationships. That kind of doesn't really work that very well. I think we in a relationship with, you know, somebody that we once loved and we don't love anymore because they might be abusive or we've changed, I would definitely sit down and have a serious conversation and say, this isn't working and I don't feel the same, and and I'm moving forward and being stronger to move forward. Because sometimes your relationship can be that what triggers your anxiety. It can trigger food disorders, it can trigger depression, it can, all of these words that we're using, it's just energy. And we're triggered because we don't have a solution. And most of the time it's because we don't want to upset the other person. We fear our path on our own now. I am going to come to the main reason why we can heal from all of this, but it all will relate to the one thing which will heal from all of this. So my point being, the creation of negative energy can be from outside, which is one thing that we need to heal. And the other thing is self-sabotage, our weaknesses, what we haven't overcome yet within ourselves. So we can actually be the creator of anxiety or the negative energy that I talk about. And how that works is the trigger of somebody saying something in the sense of within our mind, rather than somebody saying it to our face. So it's like having thoughts, and these thoughts that are coming from within me that nobody's saying because I can't hear anybody, but I'm having thoughts that are negative. And these negative thoughts, which are in me, are now starting to create this dark cloud. And it's now getting thicker inside me, and I'm starting to feel worse. And that is the cloud of anxiety that builds up. So it could build up in the mind and then seep down to the throat, the chest, the stomach. Where it stays causes issues with the place where it sits. So it could sit in the stomach. That's why a lot of females struggle with stomach issues, but so do men as well. But also it can stick in the heart. So if we just relate to grief, for instance, if we're feeling bad that we miss somebody because they've died or they've left, and we've got this grieving feeling, it's triggered by a thought in the mind that sits in the heart that then causes issues to the heart. And mostly when it sits and stays where it is, it kind of spreads round the whole of the body, and that's when the whole immune system breaks down. So ultimately, every time you have anxiety, you have a breakdown of the immune system. Teachers, parents, friends, bullies, all of these things can trigger the energy that you create. Ultimately, if you heal yourself from all of those things, that any time you have a thought or a feeling, or you meet somebody who's not nice, and you're not triggered because you've overcome those triggers and those traumas, then you're less likely to create the energy of anxiety. And the quicker, you normally find that, well, I did anyway, when I'm working on clients, the more you self-heal, the less the anxiety lasts for. So the anxiety might last like a week, a month. And then after the healing sessions, and the more you work on yourself and the more you strengthen yourself up by, all of the things that we're going to talk about shortly, the less it stays within you, because you shake it off much quicker. And you're very, very aware of it. So when you're aware of something, you can stop it. A lot of people get anxiety because they're not aware of it. So it starts to build up. And if you realize, like I can say to somebody, if you're not careful in the next 6 weeks, you're going to be sick and poorly. And they'll go, no, there's not wrong with me. And I'll say, no, I can feel there's something not quite right. You need to work on in your mind. There's something, I can feel it boiling up. Right. And then they just say, I don't know what you're talking about. And then 6 weeks later, they come back and say, I'm a mess. I'm a wreck. And I said, well, because of this. And then they have to figure out what it was that started that chain reaction for it all to happen. So your body listens to you and it doesn't really care whether it's a positive or a negative thought. It's just listening to what you're saying, and it's being driven by what your thoughts are. So be careful for what your thoughts are. Be careful for what you're thinking. Really important. Yeah, low self-esteem is a massive trigger. I've never met somebody that I haven't thought was I've never met anybody that I thought was useless. Never. Not one person. That's one thing that I find amazing. I'm talking about who I've met and healed and worked with, and people that are around me. Like, there's always some spark and some beautiful energy or some gift or some conversation that they just blow me away. Everybody, no matter how small they are, how big they are, how old they are, there's always some amazing gift in every person. I used to have kids here around about 16 years old, and they blew me away. So many of them. It's like, when you just open up and realize how amazing you are, it's like, how can somebody not know that they're amazing and powerful? But that's the way we've been programmed. We've been told that we're stupid, that we're not good enough, that this is the person that we should look up to. These are our leaders that we should listen to. These are the doctors that we should listen to. So we've been programmed to obey, to take orders, and that is the darkness. That's the darkness that created that. So, yes, I listen to people, but ultimately I make my own decisions. Don't go and talk to him. He's not very nice. No, I'll talk to him. And if he's not very nice, then he's not very nice. And I'll make my own mind up. Don't tell me who I can speak to. Don't tell me what country I can go to. Don't tell me what I can buy and what I can't buy. So I've always been that way. So there might be a little bit that you might have to start becoming stronger in yourself. And now you have to overcome this energy of feeling that if you do that, then, I have to be careful. People are going to say nasty things and say I'm selfish. I don't care, and neither should you. I don't care what people say about me, good or bad. I don't care, because if I'm driven by what people think about me, good or bad, then I'm a slave to other people. I love it when people say nice things, but I'm not going to be forced into what they've said as a way of tricking me to say, okay, I've said these nice things, so you behave yourself. Won't do that. Somebody says something nice, I'll say, thank you very much, but I won't use that as part of my journey in life. I'll just say, I appreciate your kindness, and that's it. But I don't owe you anything. Just like if I say to you, you're a beautiful soul, you don't owe me anything. I'm just giving you a compliment. And if I say something negative, so what? So what? Who am I? Who is anybody? And if I take it badly, if somebody says something, then that's my issue. I need to work on it, right? And if I'm upset by it, then I need to look at it and think, why am I upset about it? Are you really that person? Well, then why are you upset then? Well, it's hurt my feelings. Well, why? Is it true? No. So then let it go and learn to become stronger. Learn to say no to people. Learn to say, no, I'm not going to let you upset me. I'm not going to let you affect me. I'm going to be strong, and this is who I am, and this is my path. And, and society, people, family even, will stop you from becoming strong and powerful because they like you just the way you are, and they're in control of you. As soon as you become powerful, as soon as you become self-aware and successful, you find a lot of family members get upset and they can't stand it because they're fearful, right? So you have to learn to overcome that and realize who people are. And that's their issue, not yours. So, for me, if I see you becoming successful, doing something that I do, I'm going to be so happy for you. Good for you. Well done, you. Congratulations. Right? If I see Pure Energy Healers becoming the best healer of the year or whatever, I'm like, oh my God, that's beautiful. If I start to get nasty and vindictive and angry and start hissing and spitting, then I've got a bloody issue and I'm not a good teacher. And that's the same with mums and dads. My child wants to go somewhere. I'll let you go where you want. I'm not saying I'm letting her do anything. You do what you want. It's your life. When a mother starts to say to a kid, "Don't do that," it's like, why are you doing that? That's selfish. Let your child do what you want. So all of these things are relative to understanding about anxiety. I know I'm going off on one, but it really is relative to your life and to other people that can cause anxiety to you by way of treating you in a way that makes them comfortable and you uncomfortable. And you've got to recognize that. So you have to learn to say no, which means you're saying yes to yourself. Beautiful phrase, beautiful quote. And, and that's the way it is. You're not doing it out of spite. You're doing it out of self-awareness and healing and growing. So I find that fascinating. So creating bad energy, whether it's from the people around you or environment, and your own thoughts, it doesn't matter. It's still in the same ballpark. It's in the same box, because ultimately your thoughts after whatever's happened, wherever it's happened, is creating this energy, which is grey and then turns to dark grey and then sometimes vibrates close to a black energy. And then that's one step closer to recognizing it and moving forward. That's why if I ever see people wearing black, they've gone through the motion, ready to heal and then find color and life and happiness to clear that away. So when you understand that you are the creator or the destroyer of your physical and your emotional, then it's really, what I'm saying is, it's your fault. And that was a hard pill for me to swallow when my teacher said, no, your issues, these issues you got isn't because of that person or that person. It's you. And I'm like, no, it isn't. Yes, it is. No, it isn't. I'm all right when I'm not around them. So it's them. Yes, but you still are triggered by it. And you have to heal and strengthen from it. So she kept putting it back to me, and really, that's brilliant, because if I'm always pointing and blaming everybody else, nothing ever gets resolved. Because when you point at somebody and say, you triggered me to get my anxiety, it's the phone that does it, it's AI technology, it's my boss, it's my this, it's that. You're always blaming other people and pointing your finger. You've got three fingers pointing right back at you. No, mate. Every time you do that, it's you. You have to be the creator of your life. You have to be the healer of your life. Basically, what she said to me was, there's only one person who can heal that. And I said, no, I'm not. And I'm going, and like, are you actually changing your life for the better? Or are you actually running away? This is another beautiful conversation, because there's two types of doing something. When you walk away with love, or you walk away because you can't cope with it and you fear it and you hate it and you resent it because it triggers you to bring the anxiety. Because what happens then is it comes back again in another form. So like if I said, okay, find another job, but do it with love and don't rush, don't force, don't get angry, do it with love. And like, I'm going to be stronger than this. You're not going to affect me anymore. I figured out who you are. And the next person you work for is not going to treat you like that, because you're going to look for a job that one of the rules is, okay, excuse me, why have you come here for a job? Well, because the job I had, my boss wasn't very nice to me, and I don't want to be in an environment like that again. I just want to be respected as I respect my boss. As an equal, and I'll do anything, but I will not be spoken down to and mistreated. Okay, that's great. You can start tomorrow. So you've overcome something, and that's the same with your family. It's the same with your partner. You've got to talk to your partner and say, I'm triggered by you, and I need to fix myself. And this is how I feel triggered. Sometimes you say these things, and it triggers me, and I don't feel I deserve to be spoken to like this. It's not my fault you're going through what you're going through, because you are also triggered. You are also, you need to resolve your issues, because the way you speak to me is because of your issues. and then I am triggered by you, and they're my issues, and sometimes I can trigger you. So eventually you start to have a relationship with people and start to figure out how to heal yourself via other people, with other people. So you work together as like a team, and you try and figure out and work on yourself. That's why circle nights were so wonderful for me, because I learned so much on the spiritual path. And then I worked with clients that helped me understand what I needed to learn. And then I started learning about psychic readings and healings and spiritual work that made me see, oh, this message is for me. So it's all about working on yourself. And working on yourself really does clear anxiety. It really does. So that's something you can look at. So now we've talked about that. So now we understand that we can be the trigger, and people can be the trigger for anxiety. So whether it's past, when you were a child, or present, doesn't matter. We now know that all of it, what I've gone through, all of these things are triggers in our life. So now that we know that, and now that we are the trigger in the sense of we create that energy, which everybody now calls anxiety, is an energy that we create, that you create. Nobody else creates it. You do. Okay. That's it. It's the truth. So where is it? Where does it sit? That's important. Figuring out where it is. It could be in the mind, and it can stay in the mind. So you can start feeling anxiety in your chest, deep in your chest. You can't breathe. It can sit in your stomach, so you have terrible stomach aches. You get it in your back, can lie in your back. So the energy that we're looking at now is we're trying to figure out where it sits, where it starts from. Normally starts from the mind. So how do we heal that? How do we heal that energy from the mind for it to then not to go any further, and we stop it? Because it's like we open a tap as soon as we have the anxiety attack, the negative thought. We open a tap, and it starts to like come inside our mind, and it's like smoke starts to cloud our mind, and then we start having negative thoughts, and then our immune system lowers, and we feel bad, and we don't want to do anything. So how do we see it before it starts, and what do we do when it started? So some little things that helped me when I started feeling this anxiety. One of the first things I did was to cleanse myself instantly. And the way I did it was with something that I tried so many forms, but this was the best form, and it's called sage. So you can see it's like cut down sage. It's not on a stick, and it's cut down. And please revert back to any of my videos on cleansing your room and cleansing yourself with sage. I'm not going to talk about it now, but I actually have at least 1,000, if not 5,000 experiences where somebody has had an anxiety attack, and I've given a cleansing with sage, and within 15 minutes it's gone. When you are starting to think you're going to have an anxiety attack, sometimes there's a precursor to it. You can feel it, whether it's in your body or in your thoughts. Cleanse yourself. So that is, like, for me, the number one thing that really, really helped. Okay. Like above everything, it really, really helped. It was incredible. Other things that you can do. One, you can use something which changes the atmosphere within inside the body, and that is smell. So if you smell something, it can clear that thought if it's a healing smell. And the best way I would say is a smell of Mother Nature. So I would use certain aromatherapy oils to change the energy inside here. So as of late, funnily enough, I use an oil called abundance oil, and that was predominantly ylang ylang. which really was quite powerful. But then the other day, I created a new version of it, and it's with frankincense. And funnily enough, frankincense is really powerful. And you can understand when people go to church, when they're grieving, that the priests use, they're not stupid, they know, they use this frankincense, and it really does help. And it clears away a lot of negativity. So it made sense that I now have a new version of abundance oil, which has an absolute ton of frankincense inside it. So rubbing that on the temples, top of the head, back of the neck, under here, rub it in your hands, breathe it in. For breathing is, again, essential as well. Breathing through the nose for 5 seconds, holding for 5 seconds, and breathe out for 5 seconds. And do that for about, I don't know, 5 minutes. Deep, deep breaths. You'll find that it will stimulate your mind and clear that negativity. Works really, really well. Also, on another note, Don Tolman's Golden Relief has been doing some cracking work as well. Really, really good work. You use it in exactly the same way, and that really helps. That is such a powerful healer. So the other thing that I like to use as well, that is just on my note, it's a quick fix and it clears it away for me, but some people don't like it. I do. It's called Agua de Florida. So you can buy it online anywhere, and it's extremely powerful. It's used by shamans, and it has alcohol. So when you breathe it, it's so strong, but it just clears it away, and it's gone. So you pour it in your hand and breathe it in through your nose. 3 massive deep breaths is what you need. You'll cough, and if you cough, it means it's going where it needs to do, because the cough is the release, how I see it. And that works. So these are little tips that work for me. I use also, you can just go to your local church or your local water fountain, which is a natural fountain with water, any kind of place, and use some beautiful purified water, spray it around you. Absolutely amazing stuff. So if you've got if you know that there's a special place, a divine place that has water, natural spring water, scoop it up, get some in one of these, and spray it over you at the time of using it. And you can also use it throughout the day. There's I also use through the day frankincense sticks. We have frankincense sticks on mattbajerski.com, so you can go and buy yourself frankincense and burn it. You can just go and buy the frankincense, and yeah, they're a little tiny what they call like you can use a bit of coal, set the coal on fire and put it on top, and then it can ease into the room. It's really good for clearing anxiety. So I like the sticks. I use the sticks. Other things, deep breathing. Deep breathing is fantastic. So learn from likes of Wim Hof and so many other masters of breathing. There's so many techniques of breathing. You have to find the technique that works for you. Meditation is another one. Music is another one. Some music to, not pop music, but music like I'm playing, music which is flute, nice flute music. Anything to calm through the vibration of sound. It's fantastic. I on a personal note, I love the flute, but I also like Gregorian chant. I just play it and it just clears my mind and the anxiety disappears. Meditation. Learn to meditate. Learn to be at peace with yourself in meditation. It's fantastic. I think one of the greatest things of healing anxiety is self-love. Self-love. And what do I mean by self-love? Learning to love yourself for who you are, learning to find out how amazing you are, learning to say to yourself that I am amazing and believe in yourself, learning to say, no one has the power over me. That's another beautiful one, because they don't unless you let them. And the greatest healing of all is, of course, love. Because once you love yourself, then the anxiety cannot be inside you. Because somebody who lives in love and somebody who is love and vibrates at love, then no fear, no darkness can ever attach to you and affect you ever again. So walking a path of self-love, and as the songs sing, love is the answer. And it is the answer. Love is the answer. Love is attached to happiness and joy. All of the things that you should do is on focus on yourself. Part focus on yourself is to help people, but the other part, which is vital, is gifting yourself, doing things for you to make you happy. You're here for those things, and it's not a selfish thing. And if you can clear that thought away that you're not selfish, you could never be selfish. That's why you feel worried that you might become selfish, because you're not selfish. Only selfish people are selfish because they don't question it and like, wow, that's really. I'm not talking about being selfish. I'm talking about looking after yourself. And if somebody loves you, right, they'll say go for it. And if they're just not very nice, then they'll stop you. So you realize that some people who you thought loved you actually only love you to a degree what makes them happy and comfortable. And sometimes you have to realize that and wake up to that. Some of the crystals that I really love, I'm going to kind of go through them all. I'll just try and think of some of them. Rose quartz seem to work really, really well. And actually, I put them, they work well on a night. If you can heal yourself through the night, and wearing rose quartz through the night is a beautiful thing. I think that's one of the reasons why I made the dream catchers. And the dream catchers were made, and I think the healing golden heart oil, rub it on the heart, because like I said, sometimes you can have anxiety in the heart, so it's a good place to use it. Abundance oil now, I'd say, top of the head, but cleansing oil is another good one. So if you work on a cleansing oil, which I use Palo Santo cleansing oil, and rub it on your stomach and on your back, it will really help. It will strengthen the immune system and clear the trauma. So that's another thing you can do. So yeah, the on a night, I have in here 2 dream catchers, because they've got beautiful rose quartz attached to them. So there's a little energy coming off all the way through the night. So wear rose quartz. I'll give you some ideas in my head now of crystals that help with anxiety. So let me think. Blue calcite. That's a beautiful crystal. Wild horse turquoise. It's like such a beautiful energy. Yellow adventurine, again, fantastic for healing anxiety. Morganite, write this down because you might have one, or, and wear it through the night, okay? Vasicite, V-A-R, I think it, what's it spelled? I think it's V-A-R-I-S-C-I-T-E. Another beautiful one is Imperial Jasper. Really, really good for anxiety. Pink opal, especially for the feminine and the younger. That's really beautiful. I use, I think it's IS. This is another one. It's a darker crystal. This one's really good as well. I think it's ISUA. I use a user stone. That's really beautiful as well. Lizardite, really beautiful, like a yellowy color. Lapis lazuli, again, great for dealing with this. Shiva stone, brilliant for dealing with it. Pyrite also is a very good crystal. It's not a crystal, but it's very good for healing of anxiety. Amber, copal, really, really good for that. Brucite, another beautiful crystal. That's it, I think. That's all I can think of at the moment. But these are the things that you can use. Love is the answer. And working on yourself and making a decision to move forward in that way. Going out for a walk. Throwing your bloody phone away for a day or 2 or 3 days. Switching your phone off on a night. And instead of looking at your phone before you go to sleep, read a book. Put some music on. Meditate. Breathe. Work with crystals. This will clear your anxiety faster than you can imagine. Get some light weights in your room and start to do some exercises in your room, right? These are the things that will help. Stop eating processed foods. That is one of the worst things you can do. And start to look towards a healthy lifestyle. Start to invest in your beautiful body temple. These are just some of the things that we can do. I hope tonight has helped you a little bit. I really appreciate you being here tonight. With all my heart, I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for being here. I send you all my love and wish you a lovely evening. I hope it's helped a little bit. But step by step, no rush. Recognize it. The quicker you recognize that energy starting in your mind, the quicker you can get rid of it. Okay? So these are my tips tonight. These are my thoughts from my heart to yours. Good night from myself and Lily, who's ready to go home now. Take care. Bye for now.